Director-elect, members of the incoming District Council. The message that follows is specific to the area director candidates. Therefore, if you're not an area director and you want to be somewhere else for the next 40 minutes or so, I won't be offended. So they want you to be an area director. There's only one thing you should do at this moment. In fact, there's only one sane action to take, and that is to follow the advice of the 11th doctor. Basically, run. Run away, run as fast as you can, because this is the hardest job Toastmasters has to offer. They will run you ragged. They will expect you to be everywhere. They will expect you to know everything, and by the time you're done, you will be one small flat pancake. All of those things are absolutely true. I'm not going to contradict them. But if you follow my advice, you will never have a greater opportunity to touch the lives of more than 200 people, most of whom you haven't met yet. And that's why I call this presentation, How to Be a Successful Area Director Without Really Trying. And that's a lie, of course, because you're going to be trying harder than you ever have in your life. But now you've already made the first mistake, because you didn't tell Montal what he could do with the position. You're already here. So now that we're here, what are we going to do about it? They're going to pin a badge on you at the end of the day, so let's get our toolbox together. A craftsman is known by his tools, and therefore, here are the tools you're going to need to start this job. The first tool is something to write on. I don't care if it's a Post-it note, a sign on your desk, by a billboard outside your window, spray painted on your wall. I want you to write down right now a 4-letter word you're going to be saying a lot over the next year. That word is Yana. Y-A-N-A. It means you are not alone. With one notable exception. Every person who outranks you on the incoming district council has been an area governor or director, I'm going to interchange those term titles throughout the whole speech, at one time or another. With incredibly few exceptions, everyone who has earned the rank of Distinguished Toastmaster has been an area director or governor at one time or another. Use that resource. Take advantage of that wisdom. They know where the bodies are buried. They've been here, they've done that. And there's another great thing about us doing this presentation on June the 10th. That means you're not in command for another 3 weeks. Somebody right now is an area director. Your area director. Go buy them coffee. Take them to lunch. And because of some radical realignment, you may have to talk to more than one person, which is okay. Find out who's in charge of your clubs right now and what they've learned from that. What their culture is like. What things absolutely not to do when you walk in the door. The culture is going to change because the officers are going to change, but at least you won't be going in blind. Your first lesson, the first tool you're going to need is to remember that you are not alone. The second tool is to get an assistant. If you are not alone, you cannot do this job alone. Trust me on this, it's too big. What makes a good assistant? Toastmasters says there are 2 schools of thought, both of which are equally okay. One is a brand new Toastmaster who's not ready for the big chair yet, wants to see how you walk across that tightrope first. And the other is an experienced Toastmaster who's been out of politics for a while, but is willing to help you and guide you through the position. Either answer to that question is okay. There's no wrong answer to that. That being said, I suggest to you that there are 2 other things that are vitally important about being an assistant, about what makes a good assistant for you. The first is, do they complete your circuit? Do they have skills that you don't? Such as, if you would be late to your own funeral, somebody who knows her way around a calendar app would probably be a good thing. Siri, by the way, is not a good assistant. If your idea of a good visual presentation, like mine, is stick figures and the Comic Sans font, Somebody who knows their way around PowerPoint would be a good assistant. In other words, somebody who can do things you can't. But I'd say also that there is a second and more important qualification for to be a good assistant. It's something that only you can answer. And that is, do you trust this person enough with the most precious thing that you own? Your name. Do you trust this person to go out and speak in your name and with your authority? Because let's face it, folks, there's always going to be something else to do. There will always be an area contest. There will always be a club meeting. There will always be a district council meeting. There will always be something to keep your attention. And at the same time, all of you have lives. All of you have children who will have piano recitals and soccer games. Your wife is going to have tickets to Hamilton for your anniversary. And you're going to have to be with what's really important. He's going to want you to be in whatever the Toastmasters thing is. This is what your assistant is for. They're going to do half the work and get none of the credit. Send your assistant to things where the conflicts exist. That way they can learn a little bit too. But you have to be able to trust this person to speak with your voice. Because people are going to ask them questions, and they're going to ask you, what do you think? So you will be briefing them with what's going on. Get a good assistant. The third tool is probably the most important, and it's the hardest one to get, hardest one to figure out. Get an accountability partner. Call them a mentor, call them an accountability partner, call them a pastor, call them a wife, call them whatever you like. But this is somebody in your life who is so important, somebody whose opinion you value so highly that they have the authority in your life to tell you no. If this person were to tell you to go to hell, you would stop what you're doing and at least look up the airfare. I lucked out. My accountability partner and my assistant were the same lady, Distinguished Toastmaster Charlotte Redeem. She wasn't a DTM back then. She worked at Bank of America with me. And she had done her time as an area governor and never wanted to see district politics again. But several years later, I, as a brand new 3-year-old Toastmaster, had made the same mistake y'all did, and said, yes, I'll do this. And then went upstairs and went, Charlotte, I have no idea what I just said yes to. Will you help me? And she said, yes, of course I'll go. And any time that I didn't know what to do, I emailed Charlotte first. More importantly, when I knew exactly what to do, I emailed Charlotte first. District 50 was saved on any number of occasions because I sent a message, I sent what I really wanted to do to Charlotte first, and 5 minutes later I got an email back saying, don't do that, it'll just make them mad. That will come up later, because they're actually rather important, remember that. But don't you feel better for having gotten it out on paper? Now, here's how we're really going to solve this. Your assistant, your accountability partner, and remember that you're not alone. Now, and also the fourth tool is the manual, which I read twice. But you guys read it more often than I do. It's on the thumb drive. I had a binder like this. You guys at least have it on a thumb drive. Now that we have our toolbox together, we need to go out and be in our clubs. And I know I just said something incredibly obvious, like water is wet, or space is a vacuum. How are you going to lead clubs who have no idea what you look like? Or you don't know what they look like? Trick question. People, Senior 7, keep quiet. How many times does Toastmasters International require, emphasis on the word require, you to be in your clubs? You gain wisdom. Once in the fall, once in the spring, and only to write the area report. Can you be successful if that's what you do?
No.
You also gain wisdom. But you can't be there every single time. It's just not possible, especially for Area 65, where 3 of the clubs meet at the same day at the same time. That's on purpose, but that's okay. So you have to find a happy medium from being there all the time and being there when Toastmasters tells you to. In my opinion, the happy medium there is to be there often enough that they know what you look like when you walk in the door. But it's no longer a big deal when you show up. I'll give you an example. I work for Bank of America in real life. Our Plano campus, where I was based for a number of years and wish I was still based, because I'd then be back at Easy Room Speakers, is directly across the street from JCPenney's world headquarters. Literally directly across the street. And so when on Thursday mornings I didn't have someplace else to be, or I was done with my duties for the bank for the day, I'd call their president and say, do you mind if I come over and sit in on a meeting? And by the way, directors, we are like vampires. We do not go where we're not invited. So always check in with your club presidents before you show up. We want to make sure the house is clean before you walk in. And I had a standing invitation for JCPenney, so I didn't have to ask it after a while. And you know how we are in clubs, right? When a visitor shows up, Bob's here from accounting, and Amy's here from intimate apparel, and Jason's here from marketing. Oh, and the Gov's here. And that's the problem with the title director now, because I haven't figured out what the short diminutive title for this is yet, because I can call them, the Gov's here, the Dur's here. They're more grown. So you get the idea. Be there often enough that you know that they know who you are. They're glad to see you, but you don't have to make a big deal when you show up anymore. Now, the other reason that you're going to do all of this is not just to be seen. They're going to ask you questions. They're going to need your help. They're going to need to know, what do we do about elephants? Or what about this policy? Or can you get this form for us? Or Mom Hall's not answering my emails. Can you help me out with this? And those are things that are important. But you're going to need their help. And you got to be really quiet. You are going to be on stage for the very first time at your area contest. And you're going to need help from those people. The contestants are easy. Contestants are easy to find. Those stand out immediately. What you need are all the other folks. The folks who are so organized that they know exactly in their brains what the timing lights are for, or what the forms are. Those are your good districts. Those are your good club sergeant at arms to have for a contest. The lady who bakes the world's best cookies for every special occasion is somebody you want to note down for hospitality. You get the idea. You're looking for all those people who are really good at the things that you didn't know they really needed to be good at. Keep an eye on those things. Go be in your club. Because eventually they're going to help you look good at your area contest. You're going to make them look good, and then you got to turn around and do it again for your division contest. Because then Christina's going to be looking at you like, hey, you did that really, really well at area. Can you help me with the division? One last thing about area contests. There is a tradition that the area governors do run the first contest. Notice I said tradition, not a rule. If you know somebody who can do this really well, do it. Let them have it. It is their name, but your hype. Keep an eye on that. But if you feel like you want to do that first, make it happen. Don't feel like that's something you have to do that. Next topic. Let's talk about this room. We spend a lot of time in rooms like this. They're called District Executive Council meetings. Senior 3, ignore me for a second. They're dull. They're boring. They are lots of information with lots of time, and yes, they're really important. I'm sorry, they're really exciting. You've got lots of information you need to have out. Sorry, he was looking at me there. Seriously, District Executive Council meetings may sound long, they may sound dull, they may sound boring, and they will be, but they're going to have lots of information you need. Especially when your clubs come to you and ask, what about this? Well, I've got this problem over here. They may address that in council. So take advantage of that. Everyone, send your assistant once in a while. Let them figure out how this works and let them get exposure to that. The other thing that district executive councils are good for is networking. Because for your area contest, you're going to need a contest master. Or you're not going to be really good at giving this canned presentation that one of your clubs needs. But Monica's going to be really good at it. So you might go and trade her a favor and say, hey, I'm really good at this, will you do this for me and I'll do that for you. That favor bank is a really, really good thing. So use that time to network.
One last thing about the District Executive Council, and if you're a political animal like I am, that you really enjoy that kind of thing, Robert's Rules of Order won't help you. That's how they run the meetings, but if you try to use Robert's Rules of Order to speed things up, they will slow down. Believe me, I've tried. There was a particularly exciting district council meeting that I was in one time where every single person in the room, for some reason that particular day, wanted to read every word on every page and discuss in detail every number on every word on every page. And this particular area governor got completely frustrated with this, and he went to his legend, which you guys know is the program quality director, and said if that ever happened again, I would open, as soon as she rang the gavel, I would then ask unanimous consent that all the remaining numbers, all reports that contain a number be considered as read, and then move to adjourn. She looked at me and said, "And you'll be the first area governor thrown out of a business meeting." Both of us meant it. Now, am I being over the top and sarcastic to make a point? These things are important. Keep an eye on them. Learn from the people, accept the information, network during those meetings. Those things are important. Next lesson. Know when to give your ground, and know when to stand your ground. Not everything in Toastmasters is a fight. There are some things that you are going to want to change because you don't understand how they work. And you understand that, wait a minute, that's wrong. 9 times out of 10, what is right and what is policy are parallel. The one time they intersect, be very careful which way you turn. There were times in my year as an area governor that I didn't understand this particular tradition. I didn't understand this policy. Or my division governor had to give me an instruction that I couldn't choose the perfect candidate for my area contest as contest master because of this rule or this tradition. And I didn't like it. And I had to, I wrote a proposal about how we were going to change this. And of course, Charlotte came back 5 minutes later with, "Don't do that, we'll make them mad. But let's fix it this way. Why don't we do it this way?" Go ahead, choose very carefully what you decide is a hill you want to die on. Let the boss make the call. And once the call is made, go ahead and support her, except in extreme circumstances. If everything is a fight, nothing is. In business, if everything is an emergency, then nothing is an emergency. Let me give you an example of what happened the one time I did. 9 times out of 10, I was deferential to the division governor. I was taught as a boy to always give respect to my elders, because if you take their dignity away from them, they've got nothing left. So anytime that I had to have a polite word with a disagreement, it happened off stage. Never happened in this council. And 9 times out of 10, if she had to make a call that I didn't appreciate, we decided on it right then and we moved on. The one time we didn't happened to be about realignment. Area 65 in 2009-2010 was not the lovely compact area you've got. J.C. Penney, passing by 6 different clubs to Timberglen, passing by 7 different clubs to State Farm, passing by 10 more different clubs over here. I don't remember what this other club was. But you get the idea. There's no shape that looks like that. And I knew that that wasn't going to work. And also, at the time, State Farm existed back up here. They had not moved to Austin yet, nor had they returned to Richardson. But there were 2 clubs at State Farm. One of them was a large club that met on one day, and I had the other one. And both of them were in different areas. This made no sense to me. So, I sat down when the proposal for the alignment came out, and this was the proposal, not the one that actually got published. I looked at it, saw that Area 65 was that strange shape again, and they wanted to put the two state farm clubs in different areas. And I wrote a memo, I opened the email, and I started it with, I am to misbehave. Those of you who remember Serenity, you know where that comes from. And I wrote out a proposal for what Town North should look like, and exactly what I was planning on doing with it. And because I was an inexperienced 3-year-old Toastmaster, I said that if we're not going to do, if you don't agree with this, I'll filibuster it on the floor of the district council. I didn't realize you can't filibuster on the council. That's how much passionate I was about this. And so I sent that, signed it, proofread it, spell checked it, and sent it to Charlotte, expecting that 5 minutes later she'd tell me not to do it. Her reply, 15 minutes later, was exactly 4 words. Sending, no changes. Okay, I get to do that. Half an hour later, the division governor called me. I wish you'd called me first. The other 3 Town North area governors agreed with me. They had their own ideas, and we all worked it out. And I then received the most gentle, the most politely issued direct order I have ever heard in my life. Because my division governor was about to call, politely, always was encouraging. She said, okay folks, we're going to do this. It's going to cause a lot of hurt feelings, and it's going to extend the district council meeting. But if we're all united, we'll go for it. What I actually heard was, if we're not unanimous, back down. And 2 days later, a revised proposal came out that had Town North exactly the way our area governors wanted it to be. You're not always going to win like that. But because not everything was a fight, that we respected the procedure. The one time we knew we had to fight, they listened to us. Now, I forgot something a moment ago about your assistants that I want to bring up. It's very important. Your assistant sometimes is going to be able to open doors that you can't. They're going to be able to go places that you can't go. And I mean this sincerely about that second State Farm Club. For some reason, it wasn't designed like this. The second State Farm Club that I was in charge of was nothing but ladies. Wasn't designed like that, wasn't intended to be like that, it was just full of women. And of my 5 clubs, 2 of them loved me. One of them patted me on the head when I walked in the door. One of them tolerated my existence. But State Farm was scared of me. Every time I walked in the room, it was, what's the governor doing here? I'm like, ladies, I'm just here to check in on you, make sure y'all are okay, see if there's anything you need. No, we're fine, we're fine. Nothing's wrong here. And this bothered me for like 3 months. And I sat down with Charlotte and said, what's going on with these ladies? I don't get it. And she smiled, I got an idea. Let me try something. She went the next meeting. And they were, oh, Charlotte, how are you? Glad to see you. She came back to me 2 hours later with, oh, Alan, they need this and they need that, and we need you to, they'd like you to do this for us over here, and they're really excited about making this happen for us next time. Why couldn't they tell me that? Because I don't know why. They just like me. So here, for the rest of the year, every time I needed something from State Farm, I said, Charlotte, learn that lesson. There's no way to know that on day 1. This is one of those experience things you're going to figure it out. Next to last thing. Enjoy the benefits of this job. There's going to be very few of them. One of them is that you're going to, I'm serious, you are going to be called a dignitary. Every time you walk in the room, they're going to introduce you like you're somebody important, and you are. They're going to address you as Mr. Director or Mrs. Director. Personally, I think governor is a more prestigious title, but they didn't ask me when they renamed everything. Accept that. Enjoy that. It's something to be appreciated. But don't let it go to your head. Harry Truman called that Potomac fever. the swelling of the brain that happens when they get into leadership or when they get elected to something. When he arrived in Washington as an elected senator, on his very first day, he walked into an elevator with the Vice President of the United States, the man who's the President of the Senate. And Vice President Garner in 1932 was from Texas. He says, "Son, you look a little lost." "Yes, I am." "Ah, don't worry about it. For the first 6 months, you'll wonder what you're doing here, and after that, you'll wonder what the rest of us are doing here." But enjoy that prestige. But understand something that I learned being part of a medieval role-playing group for a long time. Yes, it was a game that we played out on Sunday afternoons where we chased each other around the park, fighting with foam swords and pretending to have magic, various other things. But the highest honor you could get in that organization, just like in the code of real British chivalry, was to be knighted. You couldn't ask for this. This had to be awarded to you. And as a squire who was trying to learn these things, one of the greatest lessons I was told was that this knight's belt, which is mine, holds the same message as your director's badge. It says that if you need help, run to me. That if you need protection, you get behind me. And if anyone wants to harm you, face me. Now, the chances of being challenged to a duel in Toastmasters is very small. Don't worry about that. Do you still want the job? I told you to enjoy it. This area that you're about to take on in 3 weeks' time will very soon take on your personality. It will take on your aura. They will learn how you like to have fun. And you will be in their lives and you will love them. Pray for them. Be a part of their lives. Make them your kids. And then, take the 11th Doctor's advice. Let's run. Mr. District Director, the floor is yours.